This webinar is being live streamed. So it says setting of your YouTube live.
Ready for me? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess usually
And the agenda needs motion, the minutes don't, if they're accepted, right?
Yes.
I always get those backwards.
Yeah, but in the minutes, we have business arising. We have a deferred motion for the last meeting, so during the minutes, we'll cover that.
Oh,
We are on YouTube, folks.
okay. Good evening. Let us begin by acknowledging that we are gathered today in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral, present, and future territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Today, we gather with the intent followed by the living peace and friendship treaties, with respect, cooperation, and coexistence. We are all treaty people. I call this meeting of Town Council for January 29, 2026 to order. I will start with an approval of the the agenda, or any additions.
Your Worship, I'd like to move that we approve the agenda as circulated with the following change, and that is that the item that, I forget the number, the number 8.2, my motions, I would like to ask that they be deferred until the second meeting in February.
Okay.
I put it on YouTube.
Thank you, Councillor. Is there a seconder for the motion?
To accept the agenda as amended?
Yes. Second by Councillor Feeney. All those in favor signify aye.
Check.
Opposed, nay.
Sorry.
The
Yeah,
motion-
it's fixed.
The motion is carried. We will go on to the minutes. First, we have the special council meeting of January 9. Were there any errors or omissions? No, being none, would someone like to make a motion to accept the special Councilor Carver? Thank you. Second by Councilor Wilson.
Just on discussion on that, I don't think we need to have a vote if there are no corrections or
Right.
changes, they can just be accepted.
Yes.
So I withdraw my motion to approve it.
Oh, okay. Right, okay. So that is accepted. The regular council meeting of January 13th, are there any errors or omissions?
Find me or
Okay, then we will move on to.
Yeah, there's business arising from that
Yeah.
set of minutes. There was a deferred motion concerning the agenda or the terms of reference for the. planning
Terms of
resolution.
reference, so item 8.2?
No.
Or
What do you want?
what's
Propose it?
deferred?
The Planning Advisory Committee mandate.
Oh,
Yeah, the motion was made under, it's 9.1 in the minutes,
9.1
in the minutes.
in the minutes, oh, yes. All right,
So where a motion was deferred, I don't think that it needs to be reintroduced to the mover and second or carry over, is my understanding. So Paul Freeman, Wilson, you two have this motion on the floor for discussion. It was moved to be deferred by motion, so now it's back. I guess you can speak to it again, I would say now would be.
at this time?
Yep.
Okay,
Okay, fine.
And we don't do a lot of deferrals by motion, usually it's just done
Okay.
by the person who made the motion rather than by.
okay. Does anybody, do you all have a copy of that in your?
Mhm.
Okay. Discussion, Councillor Polterman?
Okay, yes, well, the essence of the motion is that the members at the moment only allows Planning Advisory Committee to become involved in the issue of the direction of the council. It's the only committee that has that requirement, as it causes frustration for members of the committee who can't get at some of the issues they would like to talk about. So the suggestion is that, and I should go on to say that in the original mandate, there's only an A and there's no B and there's no C. So we brought it out, so spelt it out, so there would be a B and a C. which are simply letters attached to what would already be the mandate. So the only issue at hand is whether council sees it appropriate to open the mandate of the committee so that it can discuss matters, and it's very much related to the openness and communication side of what we aspire to do. So as a council, in many other respects, there are significant planning issues coming forth, and I think a degree of freedom for the committee to consider those, which might extend either side of the broad direction council is looking at, would be useful.
Any discussion here? Councillor Feeney?
Mayor, so I appreciated Councillor Cofferman in the committee moving this to council at the last meeting. I thought that having the extra couple of weeks to think about it and contemplate it would be helpful, and I think for me personally, I think it was. I had a couple thoughts, obviously with the expansion of clause B and C. I think I'll start with C in the context of, the ongoing updating of the municipal planning strategy strikes me as something that is far more comprehensive and expensive and requires consultants and, really the full breadth of council when that endeavor occurs every decade. And I'm not quite sure exactly what we're trying to get at with this particular clause, because it would sort of imply to me that the PAC would have the entire mandate and the sole mandate to do the update of the municipal planning strategy. And I think the PAC members are likely to form a component of the overall team. But as you recall from our last endeavor, we had 15 members of that committee over 3 years really to put it all together. So hopefully it won't be that onerous 10 years from now or 8 years from now. But I'd suggest that the mandate for that function is a lot broader than just the composition of the PAC. Brian, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I think you're absolutely correct. There's no intention of, by having it in here, that it's the exclusive jurisdiction of the Planning Advisory Committee, but nevertheless, they do get involved in the issue. Clearly, we have land use bylaw committees, all sorts of things that go on around that.
Brian was correct in pointing out that it wasn't in the alphabet section here, but actually there was already wording in the terms of reference that said that the committee was to conduct a review every 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe it should say that the committee is to lead or participate in
Lead
or
or
support.
participate in.
That's absolutely fine. I was taking it from the original.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He didn't, the wording didn't change.
It wasn't a new introduction.
Mm-hmm.
It was just folded into the bullet points.
Okay.
Your worship.
Yes, Councillor Carver.
So I'm in support of all of it. So I'm just looking at wording. And for the point that Councillor Feeney was just making about it's not the committee that's conducting the update, and it is required to be done every 10 years, but would it be better to say ensuring that an update of the municipal planning strategy is conducted every 10 years?
Even that is not just the committee's responsibility, it's the responsibility of council as a whole. So this is really a feed up to the process.
Or initiating the process?
Yeah, because initiating is probably better.
Yeah.
And then it flows out from there.
So initiating would sit well with me.
So I guess the mover and seconder could agree to change what's on the floor to,
Conducting to initiating.
if that's the. And so with that change, now the motion on the floor is that one. Because
Oh, yes.
In the second thought, and this really comes down to the crux of, I think, the issue is around all of the committees, not just PAC, but all of the committees being committees of council being designed and populated and supporting deliverables for council and to be of help to council. And I'm just a little concerned about, does the language lead one to conclude that we're going to have, you know, almost like a quasi council or a quasi lobby group that also will feel empowered to interface with developers and interface, like, will developers contemplate going to PAC members, influencing the PAC to initiate things from within that will become almost an internal lobby group to council. I don't think that's the intention. I'm sure it's not, but I'm just wondering about the language to ensure that, like, the council needs to have some authority to direct the committees to do work that it's looking for and not go completely off on tangents that the council's not interested in pursuing.
Council Coltman and then Carl.
The same would apply to asset management or any other committee, so
Yeah.
this is a
It's
generic
generic.
approach.
Yeah.
And there's no language in this that differs from the type of language that's in the mandates of the other committees. So I think you can always conjecture about extending scope, if you will. I can't see any practical way it would really happen. An example would be in the water management committee, where recently we had interaction with a forestry company about, at the committee level, about a potential rewarding approach to our water table and lake.
Yeah.
So these sort of things can happen that way, but we're not talking here about, I mean, asset management is far better set up to ask very complicated and difficult questions if they got out of hand, which it doesn't. So I don't think we need to read into this that planning advisory would, which is a much more conceptual approach.
Councillor Carver.
Yeah, I have a wording tweak to make to that item B. And I certainly get the gist of what's intended there. Several years ago, the Heritage Advisory Committee only had the process of receiving issues or for consideration from council. But at the time, the committee advocated to include a statement in the terms of reference to forward items to council, and also to engage in activities that supported heritage in the community. So that was a very active change, exactly the same principle. And certainly the Climate and Environment Committee makes recommendations to council all the time. So the precedent is there. So I totally support it. But it just starts as reviewing and making recommendations, reviewing what? Reviewing the recommendations. The wording is bothersome to me.
Yes, Councillor.
Again, that's using wording that already exists in the existing mandate. It's not a new creation.
That was already in the original terms of reference? I don't have it in front of me, but I did look at it earlier, and I understood it to be that that's reviewing recommendations that are coming from council.
Yeah, the first use of the word reviewing is in the original, but in clause B, that is new. And, you know, I can see what the intention we talked to the committee is, you know, essentially to cover the idea that planning matters, alternatives thereto, and related options as they arise would be reviewed, and recommendations thereto would be made to council. So like the whole sentence does sort of say what the review is of, but a rephrase might, I don't know if you have a suggestion. It's like reviewing planning matters, alternatives thereto, and related options, and making recommendations to council, or as they arise, and making recommendations to council. You could switch the words around in that input and making recommendations to council at the end of that.
Councillor Wilson?
Yeah, I came into this discussion prepared to vote against it, because I was concerned, as Councilor Feeney is, about council itself losing an element of control. And the example of the Climate and Advisory Committee is a case in point, because I think in some respects, that very robust committee has been the tail wagging the dog on some occasions over the last few years. They're very dedicated and very aggressive, and they've made a lot of recommendations, and I think some of them were a little bit beyond what most councils would consider to be their mandate. However, I see Councilor Paul from his point, and I think that on balance, this is a good approach. We're already kind of doing it with the lab lands and asking to do a comprehensive review of the whole recreation cost center and figure out over the long term what we're going to do. This includes things like $4 million swimming pools, all that stuff.
Right.
So I think as long as we respect the spirit of the motion, I think we're probably going to be fine. And I think in large part that resides with the council being willing to say no if they get some harebrained recommendation from BAC.
How do you feel about that, Councillor Faulkner?
Well, it's not really changing anything. It's simply going along with it.
Change my mind.
What?
Change my mind.
Okay, well, that's a major achievement.
Yeah, that is.
No, I mean, in the most basic terms, I'd rather hear from our community, because we have public members on the committee, what their views are before we get into something, than after the fact, when it's much more difficult to deal with it and affect change.
Okay.
So, we're talking really about having more of a symmetrical relationship between PAC and the council, where council will, direct and request the PAC to review and provide advice and counsel and make decisions on things, but also council under this new expanded mandate will occasionally receive items directly from PAC that are organically have come from PAC in their discussions, their conversations.
On planning it.
So I guess as long as the PAC chair has a firm hand on the tiller to make sure things don't go tilt at the meeting, things should be okay.
And I think council just,
Council can always direct any committee
course.
to do something. So again, there's no change. Symmetries is really the word. The symmetries between the powers of all the committees with public membership on it, even treatments, and to the benefit of the community, because we get more feedback. That's what we want.
With that one change, Councillor Carver, were there any other edits that you felt you'd be more comfortable supporting?
I just wish now that I had come with a suggested wording for the B, but I'll live with it. Unless,
Yeah.
oh, well, I didn't mean to cut you. Yeah, it's really once we're to the point of, it seems like generally feeling the motion can go ahead.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that we're gonna have a bunch of new committee members due to turnover, and we have to change the mandate. Be a good opportunity to look at the committee's policy and education for committee members, because essentially their role is greater. And, it's been emphasized here with respect to participants in some of the other committees that they put in an outsized role and a lot of effort. We certainly have to come to PAC willing to put in the time and effort and energy if you're going to be, take it seriously. This is very serious matters, right? Unlike a lot of committees, the Planning Advisory Committee has a lot of effect, their recommendations have a lot of direct impact on individual property. And, people therefore, have a lot of stake in what the recommendations of this committee are. So if you're going to be on the committee, you really do have to take that responsibility seriously. So maybe we should look to do some training or a refresher or something along those lines.
We have a fairly substantial piece of an orientation work for the committee. Maybe it needs refreshing. It's 23.
Yeah.
It's not that old.
Yeah.
But it's a good it can always bear another look to see if there's gaps in there. And any committee member new is going to, much like any new councillor, but a bit less so perhaps, is going to have to absorb a lot.
Yeah. Okay,
So
I think we're ready for a vote.
Mayor,
Are
is this on the floor now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
and second, okay.
Yes,
And it has been tweaked
As
with
a-
that.
it's
as a-
been tweaked
And issues.
and.
Still didn't change B at all.
We didn't change B at all.
Make recommendations to council.
It doesn't
I mean, I
quite,
take your point, Council Carver, the reviewing just sort of sticks out there, it just sort of floats out there, doesn't it?
Well, what you can, I mean, you
why
could
why
say,
not just eliminate, I'm sorry, but this, why not just eliminate the reviewing and just say making recommendations to council?
Actually, I think you're
Yeah,
right.
that's
I
all you
think
need
that
to
makes more
do.
sense,
Delete reviewing.
because reviewing needs an object. If it's
well,
gonna
I
stay-
mean, the object is the same object as making a recommendation to council, which is with respect to planning matters, alternatives, thereto, and related options. But I do think that the assumption is you're going to review them in order to make a recommendation, so, it doesn't lose a lot by reviewing that.
Not always making recommendations, because it's more awareness, isn't it?
Well, that's where reviewing does have some value in the sentence, because they won't
Yeah.
always make recommendations on a matter they're reviewing. If you wanted to just say, reviewing planning matters, alternatives thereto, and related options as they arise, and making recommendations to council.
Yes, I
Like,
think.
that sentence,
that would
the
be
same
this.
words,
It's
it's just,
Yeah,
maybe
just put that at the end.
I think
Do
that's,
you have that, clerk?
I think that's a good add.
Yeah, yeah, that works.
So are we happy with the edit?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. We have a visitor.
yeah.
Oh, it's just the deputy.
return
Okay.
to Bureau.
Are we ready for the question?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion is carried.
Great.
There, Councillor
Thank you for the work.
Culverman, you've been patient.
Yes.
You've been patient.
Yeah,
Okay, well done.
good, good.
The art of persuasion, too. We just saw that. Thank you. All right, now we are going on to announcements by council members. Does anyone have an announcement or good news, someone's birthday, or any word on neighbors helping neighbors in our
Oh, yeah.
snowstorms and,
I certainly think some thanks, recognition is due to the town public works for the hours and hours of work they put in through the storm period.
yes,
And in
certainly.
the terms of Mahone Bay, we lost council power for a very short period of time, luckier than most.
Yes,
So
yes,
Here.
thanks to the
utility,
works.
yeah, great. Any other stories? And I just want to say, if anybody wants to be warmed up, the three churches are having a corn chowder. Get your orders in tonight, because
Already
the
in.
slicing and dicing happens tomorrow afternoon, and the cooking happens on Saturday. So
When's pickup?
pickup is Sunday morning at 10 o'clock
Oh,
at Trinity United Church. And $17 for a liter of corn chowder. It's a good way to thank your neighbor for doing something nice for you, like shoveling your driveway or whatnot. But it comes highly recommended. We get requests to have this corn chowder quite often on our Facebook page. And I also want to remind people that there is a candidates forum next Wednesday night, the 4th of February at 7 o'clock at the Mahone Bay Center. And it's an opportunity to meet the candidates. I understand there's something going on at Saltbox tomorrow at noon. I don't think all the candidates will be there, but it's an opportunity for some people who might want to pop in. And but please get to know your candidates. Find out as much. It's not just their responsibility to get the news out and the word out about why they want to serve on council. It's your job as a citizen to make yourself aware and make a good choice. So take advantage of any of the opportunities you have. canvassing in the winter is very challenging. And some people don't like visitors coming to their door in the cold and whatnot, and it's hard to get around sometimes, so it may be a different style election than you're used to, and having someone come to your door, and if you expect someone to come to your door, you have to make sure that it's ice-free and snow-free and everything else, so but I hope people will find ways to get to know the candidates. And I believe our newsletter, when it comes out in February, will have some input that the candidates have each given to our comms team. And there'll be little pictures and a small brief write-up. So participation is required. Putting that, we have no public input session. We have no presentations. We have one correspondence, 6.1 from Heather Limpert. Yes, Councillor Carter.
The letter is requesting council to consider implementing a bylaw that would curtail the free roaming of cats. And as a lifelong cat lover, and I'll have always had a cat, an outdoor cat, I have come to realize the risks of cats roaming freely. And I would like to refer this item to policy and strategy for further discussion, so that we could consider what other municipalities have done, because some have implemented bylaws, animal roaming bylaws that include cats. I don't expect it would be a popular issue in the town, because many, like me, have always let their cats roam, but many more and more people are heeding the risks of allowing cats to roam freely, both for their own health and also for the health of the bird and small animal population, and for not leaving feces on other people's property or digging up in people's gardens.
Okay, Councillor,
Well, first of all,
You second that?
I didn't hear a motion. Was that a
I
motion?
did. Do I need a motion to refer? I'd make a motion to refer it to policy and strategy for further consideration.
Happy to second that
second
motion.
it?
My
Yeah.
only quote, as everybody knows, I hate cats. So I happily ban them from the town premises. But my question is that which this lady did write before, and I remember the letter, and it got sent to the filing cabinet, but I don't remember why. And there had to have been some reason. Does anybody remember?
I'm just guessing we didn't want to tackle it.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably the case, because it is
Yeah.
a terrible.
And we've got receive and file.
Okay.
Marilyn, though, I'm open-minded about having the conversation at the strategy meeting sometime this winter. I mean, in my mind, like a more consequential issue about animal life is people in the community feeding wildlife. Now, we've been down that road before, and so while I'm sure there are some negative aspects of having felines roam wild, I mean, a more consequential and easy to understand issue is the, roving groups of 7, 8, 9 deer that are the size of small cars running around as well. So,
And raccoons in our compost.
and nature's going to do what nature's going to do. My only thought was around feeding the wildlife and encouraging the wildlife to live amongst us is, has been out of hand historically. So I just sort of I'd be more inclined to dovetail these things together. Maybe there's no appetite to revisit that topic. If there's no appetite, then let's not waste our valuable time. But I do think it's been a few years. There was a strong community reaction towards negatively against that potential bylaw. But I wonder, given, it took me, I I think the rhododendron bush now is 9 feet in the air before any flowers, because the deers have cleaned out every single one of them. So anyway, you get the idea, but I'll support the motion.
Councillor Farrell?
I totally support the idea of revisiting the feeding wildlife, but I don't see it as related to this issue. So I would prefer to keep them separate.
That's fair too.
Okay, any further discussion? Being none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor signify aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. It is referred to PNS. So moving along, thank you. Yes,
Just
Councillor
to pick up on Councillor Feeney's, the issue that Councillor Feeney raised about feeding wildlife. Is there any issue with getting, I mean, is there a problem with getting that issue back on the agenda? At some point?
Even the draft bylaw from our discussion in 2021 is the first thing that comes up on Google when you Google wildlife feeding bylaw. So we can start right there. I mean, there's no issue with me. We just,
Procedure.
I think somebody should make a motion to do it, but I think it's in order now because it's being discussed. So somebody just say, you know, I'd like to move that we add the wildlife feeding bylaw back on the policy and strategy agenda. Like I say, we've got a draft, so.
Well, you know, I'm prepared to defer this discussion until after we have a full slate of councilors around the table.
Well, I think when
If
it
there's-
gets to policy and strategy, it's
Right.
not going anywhere anytime soon, given the agenda we've already got.
If there's some consensus that there's some value in revisiting, I'll be happy to make that motion in, let's say, early March, right?
You're gonna,
Well, I'm just saying, once we have the full slate of council here,
Oh, okay.
then we can have a conversation, we can figure out if there's any will to do it, and I know how busy everyone is on, and the strategy and planning agendas are pretty booked full, so I'm all for revisiting, I just only if there's a will.
Very good. All right. We didn't vote.
he's gonna
We did-
remember it.
We did,
Yeah, I'll just-
we did,
Oh,
vote.
yeah,
Yes, we
yeah,
did.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to staff reports. Are there any, I think some of the dates have changed on here.
Yeah, there's not much else to look at on there now.
Yeah, I saw, I like the deck and on the, have been moved, some of their dates have moved down. Yes, Councillor.
Thank you.
Carl.
I had a question about number 10, the fire drill. And there's been some difficulty in arranging a way to get the timing from the fire hall to Bader's Cove. And I understand that they'd had a call to Bader's Cove, a real call to Bader's Cove sometime in the past few weeks. And do they keep records of the timing on their calls?
Yeah, so we finally, and that's what's noted here on number 10, we do finally have the department's cooperation in sharing those records with us.
Okay.
So we would have the aggregate number, you know, every time there's been a call and where to.
Okay.
And so that's what's been suggested is perhaps more valuable in the interim.
Yes.
And then we'll have to come back to the idea of the exercise when,
The date.
I think at this point, the weather's convincing everyone that Adam is right. We shouldn't be getting out there now.
Is there a date for the meeting that we requested, for, meeting with the, people from Mater's Cove and the
No,
fire
we're still
department?
just working on the statistical report now that we have the statistics,
Okay,
but
but
yeah,
we still have something in February, a date in February?
it's the major
We
scope.
requested- Yeah, that's what the email
I
that
think,
you sent.
I think that would be terrific if we could do it before,
'Cause-
sometime during the month of.
Oh, yeah, well, it's just a matter of like, we didn't want to meet with them until we had what
Mm-hmm.
we felt satisfied their request, so I know that Claire's got the stuff and we're working on it, but no, we don't have a date yet.
Okay, all right. Because we are skipping the amount of the fire rate rate in March, is it? Is that the date?
Before the 31st.
Yeah, and even though they know about it, we were gonna include that in this, but we wanted to also cover off as many of the things they've asked us for as we could do at the same time.
Okay, great, all right.
Mayor, I'm just hoping the CAO could just refresh council's memory about items 3 and 4, about the cadence. So just where are we in the process and when do we think those two items will, like when will business owners be able to avail of the bylaws? Like what are your thoughts on the timelines?
Yeah, so, well, counselors would know, but it's a good opportunity on camera to add. So we have a policy and strategy meeting that was pushed because of the weather. It may be again, but it's scheduled for Monday night right now.
That's right.
And honestly, I thought I would try to get you guys to weigh in before you leave on what the alternatives might be if we can't do it. But notionally, council will discuss those draft bylaws on Monday night. And from there, make a recommendation. So that's as policy and strategy. So if the recommendation is to take those two to a hearing, then we'll schedule the hearings for like later in February and see what the public have to say about the drafts. Yeah, that was the intention at this point.
Okay, Council Buckman, did you have something?
No.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Could we do PNS on line Monday night?
Yeah, well, we don't have to talk, but we can just
Yeah.
before we leave tonight. But I'm happy to do it remotely if that's the best option we end up with.
Okay. Any other questions regarding the staff report? No? Then we can, do we need a motion to?
It's always good to get a motion to accept for information. So a little on this
Councilor
agenda.
Kaufman?
Give Claire
Thank you.
something to do.
Council Crawford made the motion, second by Councilor Wilson. Thank you. All those in favor signify aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Council items, let me get on there. This is me. And I need to. Well, I am pleased to say that we have a new slate of officers who were elected on January 13th by the membership of the Mahone Bay District and the Area District Fire Department. Chief Adam Akins has accepted to remain as the chief. Our deputy chief will be Dwayne Brown, Captain Joel Vino, Captain Donnie Hiltz, Captain Kiana Hiltz, Captain Felix Westbach, and lead engineer Dylan Yeoman. And let's see, fire service bylaw excerpt, is that something I need to?
No, it just substantiates why, in fact, we need to make a motion tonight to appoint the chief on recommendation of the membership.
Okay,
So we just need somebody to move.
just the chief or the whole slate?
Just the chief.
Just the chief. Councilor Wilson, you wanted to make that
I
motion?
think Councilor Carver.
Oh,
I'll
Councilor
make a
Carver.
motion to appoint. Yes,
Adam
Adam Akins, sorry,
as chief.
I was gonna say his father's name, but
Yeah.
It'll be a surprise to Mark.
Yeah. Okay, and second by Councilor Wilson. Great. Any further discussions? Any?
oh, I just want to say, to give a shout out to the fire department and the firefighters, for all that they do for us and leaving us feeling secure and confident, that we'll be protected.
Yes, indeed,
Great job.
indeed. We're very fortunate.
Very difficult conditions that they work under.
Yes. When we were all cozy, over Christmas, there were lots of sirens and different calls and some snow and between the people salting and the fire department out making calls. You know, they were busy. So, ready for the question? All those in favor signify aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Thank you all and congratulations. I guess that, maybe I should send a little note to them, congratulating them and looking forward to working with this new slate of officers and the other members.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's, yes,
Mayor, usually I think that the ball is in the town's court to ensure that the long service awards that various department members are eligible for
mhm,
get the applications get filed. We usually do that on behalf of I'm not sure, I'm not sure, Dylan, if when the last time we've done that, but I know it's been a few years since we've had kind of a spate of the long service awards. be presented, and maybe we want to get on that so that we're in position to maybe provide those at the next annual meeting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess, Claire, if we can try to follow up, confirm we even have now the records needed to do that, which we haven't traditionally, but I assume maybe with the records we've got that's in there. So.
Just a question,
Mhm.
am I wrong in thinking that usually those awards are given at the annual
Banquet.
Flower Hall dinner? Yeah, okay.
Well, that is where they're given, if they're given, but we haven't necessarily
Oh, I
kept them
see,
up to
okay.
date. in recent years.
Yeah. So there are provincial awards, and federal awards.
Lieutenant Governor Awards, Governor General,
Yeah.
there's a number of them, but it's really,
It's
the
record
extent-
keeping.
yeah, and application and meeting timelines,
Mhm.
so might be just something we should be a little more proactive on this year if we could.
Exactly. Okay. Anything else? All right, we will move on to, item 8.2 was deferred. Committee reports, climate and environment. Councilor Carver, do you have anything to add to that?
I don't.
Okay. And Councilor Hoffman, do you have anything for asset management?
No, it's just a nuance actually, because we're trying to, when we're talking about the shoreline, it got into the marine and whatnot, and we Xed out the idea of the marina from the point of view of floats and that sort of thing. But certainly the town dock is part of the shoreline as well. So whilst we're Xing that out from the marina, it's still part of the shoreline. Part should probably form part of that overall issue, an element of it anyway.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 10, new business. Is there, yes,
I would just like to
Councilor.
make a notice of motion if I may.
Yes,
So I'll be bringing a motion to the, is it February 10th, the next meeting?
yes.
Around communities in bloom and registering for participation in the 2026 program.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Heads up.
And just even for that, since we've got the storm, just a heads up, we've only got 2 business days before the deadline for the next package. So don't hesitate to send it to me. This is a very tight situation. Yeah.
Is it
Wow.
the 10th?
Yeah, so for the 10th, the package deadline is next Wednesday. So we're already up against it if we're closed on that day.
Wow, okay, thank you.
Why only 2 business days?
We'll just, if we have a cancellation on Monday,
Oh,
we have 3 business days now.
Oh, right.
But if we lose one, we'll only have 2 left.
We're being understanding in the snowstorm situation. Councilor Hoffman.
Just a question on communities in bloom. Do you know when they're going to be arriving in town?
The judges,
Yeah.
we could state a preference.
Okay.
But they decide the precise date, but it will be sometime probably around the 2nd week of July, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Well, are there any questions on online, clerk? Any comments?
And how
No?
many are there?
15 now.
15.
Oh, wow, that's a big one.
Maybe 5 are the candidates.
Yes.
I'm hoping it is. Anyway, so no questions. So this question that I had here.
Oh, sorry. Dave Highfield
Okay.
has made a question. And I think it's probably the same as the copy
It's the
that I
one
sent
here.
you, Mayor.
Okay,
What is the total of the town's debt as known as of January 2026? And what is the yearly cost of servicing that debt?
Give me a second here, I think I have that somewhere.
The simplest answer is the note in the financial statements. I mean, in terms of long-term debt, it hasn't changed since the 23-24 statements that are on our website. Note 8 on page 17 is where you'd find the long-term debt breakdown, so that hasn't changed.
About $9,050,000 is consolidated debt at the last official posted note. That's a composition of the area debt, which is about $3.8 million, the fire hall debt, which is $4.1 million, and then town general, everything over the last 100 years, which is about $1 million. Of course, we have work in progress substantial work in progress associated with Edgewater and other projects, which is going to add another $5 million to that pool. I think that's about right, off the top of my head.
That is about right.
Yeah,
And the debt servicing cost is,
So our debt servicing costs are not paid for by town property tax. For some of you, or some folks who might be interested, it's entirely paid for from our non-property tax revenue sources, predominantly B transfer tax, area dividends, dividends from the solar gardens, and gas tax and things like that, as well as our infrastructure fees. But I think our debt servicing level now, just 1 second.
And that
That's
note,
fair.
again, if anybody looks at the 23-24 statements on page 17, that note
That's-
does actually give you the principal payments and the interest rates for all of
yeah,
the
I
outstanding.
can't remember what it is.
The-
Well, it'd be hard to know it all off the top of your head, but it's in there.
I'd say to David, it's in the budget notes, is the town debt schedule, but by happenstance, I have it here somewhere. So our total payments for our town general is right around $215,000 annual is our annual debt servicing amount. And that's of our last audited financial statements.
That's for the whole 9 million, correct?
Well, that's our town, that's the town general, that's town general. And of course, area pays the revenue that area enjoys from selling power pays for that $4 million. And then of course, our fire services revenue that we all pay, as well as our friends in Mater's Cove, Indian Point, Oakland, and Clearland, that takes care of the financing in the fire hall, combined with the generous contributions that everybody in town makes to the fire hall's annual fundraising, which is quite substantial.
okay, thank you for that, Councillor Feeney. Councillor Carver.
Well, your worship, usually the questions and comments at the end of a meeting pertain only to items that are discussed during the meeting, so that was a real freebie.
Oh,
Fair enough.
you didn't put on your governance hat quick enough to stop us from asking this question, but it had come in an email prior to, when the person said they would be sending the message through the YouTube channel. So anyway, thank you for that. Well, we're going into closed session, and I would entertain a motion, Councillor Kaufman.
Yes, I'll so move that we move into closed session to discuss Edgewater issues, is that it? Contract issues and a couple of legal issues, personnel time.
Okay. Is there a seconder for that?
The legal issues are a separate issue from 12.1, so there's a 12.2 MGA, whatever it is,
Yes.
legal issues.
Yes.
Yes, I guess just to really belabor it, but personnel and legal were being added to the closed session grounds that
Okay,
are
so
described
that's
on your
the
agenda.
which might have been better done at the very beginning of the agenda, but there we go. I'll second the motion to go into closed session for those 3 items: contract negotiations, personnel, and legal.
Thank
Council.
you, Councillor Carver. All those in favor? Aye, opposed? The motion is carried. We are